Good morning, everybody. Hello, and thank you for joining our session today. I hope everyone's keeping safe and well and warm actually in this snowy weather. I'm very much looking forward to today, and I hope you all are too. I think it's important to look at the National Apprenticeship Weeks we've had in the past, and we've had some really great events held over the past few years. And while this event is going to look slightly different, obviously being virtual and online, I am absolutely certain that it's going to live up to the success of previous events. In fact, actually being online means that we've had a chance to really widen the participation this year. So a real silver lining. I'm not sure anybody would have wanted to get up and go out in the snow this morning. The theme for our National Apprenticeship Week this year, there's two of them. So it's about stepping up to the challenge and building the future. So to that end, today we'll be hearing from some of our apprentices, our fantastic apprentices actually, about how they've really stepped up to the challenge and shown some great resilience in progressing through their apprenticeship during a global pandemic. We'll also be discussing We'll also be discussing the opportunities available to employers to really build the future and support young people in our industry through apprenticeships, hopefully, or other routes, and looking at creating some real future leaders in our industry. There's also going to be a taster session in our introduction to print, delivered by our trainers, which will hopefully give a real insight into our industry for anyone who is on the session today who's outside of our industry. Much more as well today. I'm really looking forward to it. Just for a little bit of housekeeping, if people aren't familiar with the Hopping platform. So the employer and the apprentice sessions will be running simultaneously throughout the morning in the session section. These are labelled as apprentice session and employer session in the session area for guidance, so you'll see that on your screen. Between each session there'll be 10-minute slots, just to give you time for a short break. So use this time to grab a cup of tea, coffee, stretch your legs, look away from the screen before moving across to the next session. At the end of the morning there'll be a chance to have an informal coffee chat, or network with other attendees. So I really hope I get a chance to chat with a lot of you in there. If during the sessions you do have any questions, then there's a chat box to the right hand side. So if you type a question in there, the presenters will be able to see that and hopefully answer any questions that you have. So I will shortly be handing over to Ian Wilton, who is BPAF's president, who will kick off the day with an insight into his journey into the industry. But before I do that, I want to really say a personal thank you to all of our employers really, who have really supported apprentices over the past turbulent year, especially whilst having to navigate ever-changing COVID goalposts. But also a huge thank you to all of our apprentices who've had to adapt to different ways of learning, who have persevered through uncertainty of exams, so functional skills exams, and generally just being extremely resilient to ongoing change and uncertainty. It's a real credit to our industry. So a big thank you to all. So on that note, I will now hand over to Ian, who will talk about his journey into our industry. So have a fantastic day, everybody. I hope you enjoy the sessions and look forward to catching up in the networking area later. Ian.
Thank you very much, Carly. It's wonderful to be here today as president of the BPIF and to welcome you all to today's event. I'm sure you will have a fantastic day, and looking at the sessions for both apprentices and employers, I know you will have an informative and insightful one. It will highlight to me how important apprentices are to our industry and the opportunities it can lead to. Obviously, Strange opening to today. It would have been much better if the pandemic was over. But unfortunately, as Carly rightly said, this year's Apprenticeship Week will be very different from previous years. But it will still shine a light on the opportunities, amazing work and the journeys that some people have been on during this time. I've been asked today to talk briefly to you about my journey through this wonderful industry that I'm in and how I went from an apprentice printer to managing director and ultimately sat here in front of you today as president of the BPIF. Yes, believe it or not, I am a printer by trade. Some 30 plus years ago now, I'd just finished my O-levels, as they were back in the day, and was leaving school really with no idea with what I was going to do. I really enjoyed school, did okay, but realised that university was probably not right for me. I applied for a few jobs, wanted to be a footballer, as some people dream of doing, but was not quite good enough. Applied to the Royal Engineers in the Army, and then decided Army probably wasn't right for me either. But then I saw a local job advertised at a print company as an apprentice printer. I knew very little about print except from reading books and newspapers. The company was called Good Ed Press. It would turn into BGP and be owned by John Majeski for all those Reading fans, then Polestar, and is now Wyndham Bicester. I couldn't quite get it into my head that someone was going to actually pay me to train to become a printer. I did a 3-year apprenticeship, 1 day a week at Reading College, and absolutely loved it. On-the-job training was backed up by theory at college, and at the end of the week, I actually got paid as well. I did well, passed all my apprenticeship exams, and thought, that's it, I'm going to be a printer for the rest of my life. How wrong could I have been? I spent the next 10 to 15 years learning the trade, doing various training when the chance arose, travelling abroad even to train on the latest print presses and technology, ultimately working my way up to a shift manager at BGP, looking after and managing 60 individuals at any one time. Certainly not something I'd envisaged when I left school, and I had some wonderful mentors on the way, picking up and listening to advice when I was giving it. I cannot tell you how many opportunities there are within this industry. You should never be pigeonholed into one. Since being made redundant at that company, I've had lots of other jobs, going back to being a printer, then on to an operations director, a managing director, now back to an operations director of a communications agency, turning over £30 million a year and amalgamating not just print, but digital, creative, technology to ensure clients' requirements are met, whatever their needs. So, sat here today, what advice can I give you? This industry gives you so many career paths, and where you start your journey may not be where you finish it. Grasp every opportunity to train and learn. Knowledge gives you the chance to do so many things in life, and don't be afraid to challenge the norm. If someone had told me, my 16-year-old self, that I would be sat here today as president of the BPIF, talking to you about what I'd achieved when I started out as an apprentice, I would have thought most of you were crazy. But it's all been achieved through a grounding of learning, not just as an apprentice, but an adult as well. And I'm still learning now. Please don't let anyone tell you that you've achieved everything and there's nothing more to achieve. Anything is possible, and if you put your mind to it, you can achieve great things. We have apprentices at my current company, and as Kylie rightly said, it's been a really tough time for them during this pandemic, as it has been for us employers as well. But I hope they felt supported, listened to, and have done their apprenticeship as best as they can throughout these difficult times. Learning has changed for all of us. There is more online work, interaction is unfortunately more distance-based, but let's hope we can get back to some sort of normality soon. I hope I'm giving them the same encouragement I was given, and I hope that one day they may be sat here giving something back to the industry that's been so good to me for over 30 years now. Please enjoy the day. Go to the sessions tab on the left and click employer or apprentice to go to the relevant speaker sessions. Hopefully I will see you in the virtual chat in our virtual chat room. It would have been lovely to have a question and answer session now if we were doing it in person, but please, if you have any questions or things you feel you would like to discuss, I will be in there. Please have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stay safe and enjoy.